I wasn't able to feel that that fire inside that makes you feel driven to do things really light up. If anything, it was dulled down to just a glowing ember.
Shane Whalley, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here.
Oh, it's great to have you. We're excited to have a little chat. For our audience, could you start by just telling everyone a little bit about who you are and what you do?
For sure. So my name is Shane Whalley. I'm from Canada, in Ontario. I do social media, content creation, video editing, and just enjoying life online. I post over on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, and I have my own podcast now. And most of the time through my content, it's talking about lifestyle, slices of life with fashion, beauty, encouragement, and self-empowerment, and sometimes comedy. Throw a little bit in there.
What inspired you to develop your social media channels, and what do you attribute a lot of your success to your community and your growth?
Well, the top answer would be my community itself. They are the reason why everything keeps going. When I first started doing social media, it was thanks to a friend of mine. It is more of a darker story, and I'm sorry if this does trigger anyone, but I was in a very dark place in my life where I just wasn't seeing much of a future. And when I say I was at my ends rope, I was like by the phrase, and so I started getting a message from my friend being like, hey, have you heard about TikTok? Do you know what this is? And I was like, at the time I was like, no, what is it? And so he showed me. I thought, oh, this is really neat. And so he got me into just watching it for a week, and then threw in there, have you thought about creating something? Have you thought about doing something like that? And I was like, no, I'm a bit shy. And in my head, it's because I was afraid of being bullied on the internet like I was throughout my life. And I was just not wanting to put myself out there. But he encouraged me, to say, just make something super silly. And I was like, fine. So I took a trending sound at the time, which was just some music to a Call of Duty zombie scream, and I put it up there. And I was just like, okay, this is what it is. I still have the video there to date because it's like my like personal trophy. Like, this is you know, you got going. And then from there I just started developing into where I felt more confident to post things. My second video was actually me encouraging someone, being like, hey, you matter, you're magnificent. And I was just like, because that's how I felt in the moment. I was like, oh, this is great, so let's pass this on. One day I got the idea of putting myself online to hold myself accountable for weight loss. And that started because on that day, I went to go sit on my bed and it broke on me. And so the thoughts just start rushing in when that happens. The things you tell yourself when you go through something like that just are very not helpful. And so I've been trying to lose weight for so long in my life, but I've always been up and down, gaining it back, losing some, gaining it back more. And it just kept going like that. And I just wasn't happy. And yeah, so it just started from there, and just building my videos up from that, and people started coming into it. And then by seeing how many people were reacting to their own empowerment from seeing me feeling empowered, it then developed a community where everyone starts empowering themselves, and then it just started building from there.
Congratulations, by the way, for making it through a difficult time, and for I mean, you have a very authentic way about you, so I can see that like your community would accumulate around that because they see themselves in you, and then also you come out very authentic in a very positive way. But if you could just walk our audience through some of the valleys that you were in, and then we can bring it full circle up to the peaks that you're in today.
The key things that I remember was I've just bounced all over Canada. I was living in Ontario, and working inside of restaurants, and then it just kept feeling like the box of a restaurant was getting smaller and smaller and smaller. I had no way to have my own life. I was someone who was very creative growing up. I love to make things. I love to perform. I love to be able to do art or just anything that is a sense of creation. I really enjoyed that, and I didn't get that in culinary. As much as I know you can create so many beautiful things in culinary, for me, on my part, it wasn't there. And then seeing life happen without me when it came to my family going on trips or having holidays together, and that's the thing that people in the culinary world don't tend to get because we are usually working those. And then I just remember I was just starting to feel very spread out, and I couldn't find a rock to hold on to. And my executive chef, she came over one day just to tell me, like, oh, you have to give me the receipt so we can pay you for your pants, for your uniform, things like that. And I don't know what that did to me, but it broke me down into tears online. And she took me aside in her office and listened to me, and she said, we're going to give you a crisis counselor so you can talk to someone and find steps to help you find yourself, which really did help a lot. So that alone left a good upbringing in my heart, but it also made me very aware of my life, because I was starting to be very critical over my thinking of myself, and I started going back down, even though I wasn't going down places where I was before. And I eventually left British Columbia, moved back home, and I got a job up in farther away from people, but in Ontario still. And I felt that box getting tighter again. I wasn't able to feel that that fire inside that makes you feel driven to do things really light up. If anything, it was dulled down to just a glowing ember. And my friend who has been friends with me now, at that point, I think it was 10, 12 years. He's who got me into TikTok. He heard a conversation that we had, and apparently I had some triggering words for him that got him really concerned. And thankfully, he's someone who's very intuitive and very aware, and he got scared because he knew I had a crisis counselor before, and he was afraid that me being away from everyone, something may happen. And he was right. He was very right. I think I actually had a plan and everything, and he caught me basically 3 weeks in advance from where it was going to happen, and so he was like, just do this, just try it. And sorry if I get gaspy here. Just remembering, it was just in those 3 weeks that I knew that I was planning for myself. He took those 3 weeks and was just like, nope. And just totally just 180'd everything, just by helping me find an outlet of creativity and finding a way to express myself. Even though it may not be fully tangible, it was expressive, and just being able to feel that again was really wonderful. And sitting in this chair now, looking back at myself who I was back then, I wish I could give myself a hug.
And that's so important. And honestly, sometimes it's you need to just kind of go through the motions, and go through, just keep marching on, because eventually, and act as if, in a way, because then eventually you can, every day is a new opportunity, right?
Yeah.
Or as Adventure Ted says, a new adventure. And you never know what life is going to bring you if you keep going and you keep coming at it. Eventually you can find your way, and you did, and it's a testament to your strength. And what a great friend that was too. So important to have someone that can shake you out of that and help you shift your mindset. And thank you so much for sharing this and being so vulnerable with us. A lot of people need to hear this. And it's so important that people know that people struggle like this. Tell us a little bit about the community that you've created through TikTok and all the rest?
So the community that truly is evolving every day is people who are very real, you know? It's definitely on the lines of positive energy for sure. Like, the group is full of people who care about other people and care about themselves, but also people who are struggling with themselves. And it's a very interesting circle. Maybe not even a circle, it's just like all forms of shapes because everyone's so different, right? But each person that is in there, and whether it comes across videos or when we actually meet in person, and there has been little situations where I've been in at a conference or a convention, and groups of us have met, and I just sometimes stand there while each one's boosting the other person up, and it's so beautiful to see that the people who are part of this community are so loving and accept everyone for every flaw, and understands that as much as we want everything positive, that we understand there's negative, and that we do require a balance. Of course, in a perfect world, everything will be happy and great and things of that sort, but it's the fact that the community is always moving forward and always getting bigger, and bringing people in who may not even know that they're in it yet. and it's seeing stories that get posted on my comments or emails that I get, where people tell me that I was the reason that they started thinking about themselves more, or for the people who are doing a weight change, that they started being active in it, or that they said they ate today, which is huge. And so it's and then people are seeing those comments and hyping them up in the comments, so that it's just a one big thing of hype. That's what I really love. And they're sharing in the sad. So when someone, I know actually today I was going through a comment, someone said that they lost their grandfather, and they were just struggling, and they're just happy to see this little bit of positive energy that came from one of my videos. And it was just, people just rushed to that person, and it was really, really inspiring just to see that there's love, you know, and that's something with the community is just so wonderful.
Really is. And honestly, as we just, even in this, short amount of time that we've had the privilege of chatting, I can see, even just the ripples that started from your friend who shook you out of that difficult moment, introduced you to TikTok, you being your authentic self, which inspires other people to feel comfortable to share that about themselves, which makes sort of a very hospitable community where people are able to, no matter how different, share who they are and how they feel. And each person's in a different stage of that, right? Like, you were in one stage, now you're a leader, leading this community. And now there are other people who will, the ripples of what you're doing in your community will echo on through other communities, and other communities will foster. And it's really a beautiful thing, the type of thing that we love to see here. So thank you for doing that.
Of course. There's actually one thing that you mentioned when it came about leaders, is there's actually people in the community who lead me. And that's something that is wonderful, because there's times when I don't have an answer, or I don't know what to do, and I can rely on the community to lead me as well, where in a direction that is hopefully has been, but hopefully will always be helpful. And sometimes there's people everyone doesn't lead. We all embrace, because it's okay to embrace what is happening, and then figure out the path afterwards. But they've led me a lot, and they've helped me become more of who I've always wanted to be, and who I've never expected to be.
So what are some mindset techniques or strategies that you've used when you're faced with different challenges? I know for one, you've had a weight loss journey, or even experienced some hate. What are some you must have some tricks or some systems or philosophies that have been working for you, obviously. What can you share with us about that?
So the first one was realizing that if I wanted to be personally successful, not with a goal, just personally successful, is that I can't take on more than I actually can. And so, because otherwise that starts doing things like burnout. And this may sound like a weird start, but it really does branch into like roots that help you make future decisions. And this is actually something that I used to help me with starting on my weight loss journey as well, which then blossomed. I'm gonna imagine like trees and apples and blossoms and stuff. At this point, things that made nourishing moments into helping me fortify my mind in certain situations. And so it all starts with, at least with me, with picking up a sock. And I know it's so weird. So I started by picking up a sock because I have a very, very strong lazy bug. And and so I told myself, if I can pick up a sock, then I can keep making more choices. And so every day, if there was like a sock on the ground, a piece of clothing, I'd pick it up and I'd put it where it belongs. And putting it where it belongs is where the key thing comes from that. And then once I got used to that, I then realized I can make my bed every day. I can do these little things. I can get dressed. And then it turned into having showers. It turned into having a meal that I cooked. It turned into going on a walk. And then all these things that like picking up the socks and making my bed just became a natural occurrence. I never had to think about them. And then I went from doing those walks into having conversations, which then I felt for some reason more fulfilled in my day because I've done stuff that my mental state was changing. And then I was having these conversations where I could lead them or actually partake in them. And then if something was not going my way, I was able to think through them rather than just get stuck in the marrow of it. And then I was able to go into like traveling or putting myself in the public eye when it came to being in physical, like wearing certain clothes that I never did before. And it's just this interesting sock wave that just started going and designing itself into this path that allowed me to feel empowered, really, to see obstacles as opportunities. When it's coming to where I feel myself being depressed, I'm like, okay, what is causing this to come in? Is this just a natural occurrence of being depressed and having depression with me in my life, or is it on the lines of can I go away somewhere? Can I talk to someone? And then it's just being able to find that path from a sock to this glorious valley of opportunities allows me to see when something comes here, it's like, I can go this way. And sometimes it's like a big wall that wants to come out, but there's a crack in that wall, and it just takes time trying to find it. And taking the small steps allowed me to be able to notice those cracks or notice those pathways that are of different opportunities. When I worked on myself, I then knew that I can be alone, but I don't have to be alone. And I can do either or. And then I don't have to just rely on having certain people in my life just because I didn't want to feel alone. It's because some people out there, I know I was one of them in the past, where I stuck with a group of people or just singular people, but they were not nice. And they're like, oh, well, they're my only friends. Oh, they don't mean that bad. And I kept justifying their actions that were either harming me or others. And it then allowed me to find ways to be able to sever those ties. And all from a sock.
I was just about to say, actually, this is the most incredible insight that I've ever seen stem from starting with just one sock. And honestly, that's an amazing story, and such an incredible lesson too. That, you know, obviously it's a sock that leads into a lot of things and builds up into a momentum that allows you in that momentum to sort of to start seeing the adventure and all that you do in a way, and look at challenges as opportunities, and to be able to overcome them. I think there's a lot to be said for that, and there's definitely a science in there, and it's incredible that you found your way through picking up just that sock. So
yeah,
thank you so much for sharing that. That's a really important lesson for a lot of people. They need to hear that. Shane, it's been a pleasure chatting with you. Thank you for sharing so much with us and being so vulnerable, and I think a lot of people are going to benefit from hearing this chat, and hopefully they can integrate some of the core principles you've integrated into your life. For those who need it, I hope they can integrate it as well and live an authentic, happy life as you are.
Thanks. I just hope that for those who are listening, that they just always find that star to believe themselves because the star's inside them.